Thank you for having me here today. It's a great pleasure to be invited to talk about my research. As you mentioned, I'm a PhD research student at the Department of Information Studies at the University College London. My paper today outlines my research so far into the information-seeking processes of dance researchers and the dance practice of the practices of dance archivists to be able to further the development of future online dance archive resources. I will begin by providing an overview of much of the literature which Ivana has just kindly presented on as well, which frames this research project as well as the main research question. Are we okay?
It's okay. You can continue.
And the main research question that derives the project. An outline of the chosen methodology will follow, demonstrating how the research has been undertaken and how things have changed as a result of the pandemic and the challenges posed in bringing two communities, dance researchers and dance archivists, in conversation with one another. So let me begin by reviewing the literature that contextualizes this research, literature from dance, archives and information theory. So much as like Ivana just explained in terms of dance and performance, tracing the existence of the past can be difficult when it comes to dance. Dance is frequently referred to as being ephemeral, meaning dance disappears at the point in which it is performed. Peggy Phelan suggests performance's only life is in the present. Performance cannot be saved, recorded or documented, or otherwise participate in the circulation of representations of representations. Once it does so, it becomes something other than performance. This sentiment is shared by various other dance and performance scholars such as Siegel, Schneider, Reason and Lepecki. Documenting dance therefore becomes a seemingly impossible task. If a performance is constantly disappearing once it has been executed, then how can a performance be archived? How can the existence of the event be verified or provide evidence for future audiences to study or analyse? The dance scholarship on documentation has continuously explored ways of capturing dance and its ephemerality from notation systems to video to motion capture and holographic imagery, as you can see on screen. Fortunately, dance has benefited from being the testing ground for many technological developments. These explorations and experimentations have led to an abundance of materials or documents being produced. Documentation which are stored and preserved within dance archives, ready for access by current or future spectators. An archive, as suggested by several scholars, is a place or location in which tangible documents and objects are collected, stored and organised and preserved for future users. Archives play an important role in society by collating and sustaining a historical trace of communities and individuals. Archives are often seen as a place to find, as Rote suggests, authentic or official knowledge. Knowledge which is most often found in tangible form, as mentioned by Miller, makes it easier to provide evidence of rights, obligation, events, and claims made. However, the intangibility of dance defies this archive logic and makes dance harder to traditionally archive. Archiving dance is more than just providing evidence of the performance. Dance extends in both directions beyond the parameters of the performance. As Oak highlights, if archivists apply themselves to documenting significant performances as the official record of a dance work, then they would be missing the documentation of the rehearsal and the creation process. Oak insinuates that only focus on documenting the performance misses other vital elements attributing to the context and creation of a dance performance. The Dance Heritage Coalition, along with Oak and Reason, proposed dance archives should be focus on providing an understanding of the evolutionary process of a dance from conception to audience reception, and provide an archive logic which is more attuned to their audience's understanding of dance. Archives are steeped in tradition, policies and standards which ensure archive records maintain provenance, integrity and authenticity as custodians of the past. However, it's these standards which contribute towards the conflict with how dance materials are presented and accessed by their users. In 2017, I conducted a master's research project which outlined that when surveyed, dance students and scholars, the presumably top demographic of dance archives in the UK, were not actually aware dance archives even existed. How then do we make dance archives more visible to those who would most benefit from them? Currently, limited research has been conducted into dance researchers and their role archives play in their information-seeking process. It's not known if the way dance archives organise or present archive materials to users is either useful or logical for users when searching. While it's apparent that dance archives hold a wealth of knowledge, how users access this knowledge needs further consideration. Therefore, my PhD research aims to bridge this gap in the knowledge and further investigate the relationship between the dance archive and the users by asking, how do dance researchers seek information and how can this inform the development of future online dance archive resources? We need to turn to the field of information science to investigate what work has or has not already been conducted in this field. Information behaviour, as Bates suggests, the many ways in which human beings interact with information, in particular the ways in which people seek information to use or utilize. An initial model of information behaviour created by Wilson demonstrated an interconnectivity between information behaviour, seeking and retrieval. Subsequently, Wilson developed this model to create an overall model of all human information behaviour, as seen on screen. Wilson's model is one in which has been studied and extended over time, and various information-seeking models have been created based on its foundations. The highlights in blue are where we situate our own discussion on dance researchers. Although information-seeking literature of various communities extends far and wide, dance researchers appear to be under-researched. Often, dance researchers are grouped together under the umbrella of performing arts researchers, or even under a larger umbrella of arts and humanities researchers. For now, we can only draw from the few studies which explore these neighbouring disciplines to find patterns which may be transferred onto dance researchers. Mayer and Medrial all conducted research into information behaviours of performing arts researchers. Within these studies, performing arts researchers were found to specify their preference for online material. And so often, the choice of resources was driven by aesthetic and ease of use. Gratino and Robinson are the only two studies which exclusively investigate the information behaviours of dance researchers, but primarily dance faculty. Gratino regarded colleagues, peers and professional networks as an important and most used source of information for dance researchers. However, it's important to note that Gratino's study predated computers and the internet. Alternatively, Robinson highlighted that typically dance researchers regarded both their body and the internet as an important source of information. While one study highlights dance researchers' preference for online resources, the other contradicts this opinion, bringing uncertainty into the understanding of the dance researchers' preferences. Thus, clarity was still needed on this subject matter. Often, like humanities professionals, performing arts researchers conducted research which was interdisciplinary. Gratino and Robinson both supported this finding and suggested dance researchers required a wide range of information sources according to their needs. Concludingly, these studies are limited in how they help to solely understand the information-seeking behaviours of dance researchers. Both studies had significantly small samples, thus no generalisations could be inferred about dance researchers. Overall, the limited literature that does exist provided little help towards understanding some of the research questions. Therefore, questions still remained. How do dance researchers seek information, and how can archives fit into their information-seeking process? How might the practice of dance archivists be affected by the development of future online dance archive resources? and how can this inform the creation of future dance archive resources? This study set out to investigate both the information-seeking process of dance researchers and the archive practices of dance archivists to allow us to formulate an approach to the development of future online dance archive resources. To be able to conduct the research within the timeframe of a PhD, geographical parameters were set. The study would investigate only dance researchers based within the UK and Northern Ireland, as well as only investigating the practice of dance archive professionals within the UK. The methodology for the project derived from my unique positionality as a researcher, working closely with both the dance research community and performing arts sector over a period of time. Experience in understanding that when dance researchers and dance archivists are brought together in conversation, the two communities are unproductive to find an common approach to the transition to the digital. Therefore, based on my experience, I took a qualitative approach to the research to sincerely understand the practice of dance archivists and the information processes of dance researchers further. The research project was initially divided into 4 phases, as shown in the diagram on the left. As illustrated, 3 qualitative research methods were used across this study to gather and investigate the information-seeking processes of dance researchers and the practice of archivists, which were online questionnaires, focus groups, and a Think Aloud study. However, within a month of launching phase 1 of the project, the UK went into lockdown and both the archive sector and the dance archivist community moved somewhat offline and became hard to reach. The research collection of phase 1 and 2 were significantly impacted and all data collection schedules had to be amended accordingly. The diagram on the left shows the original timeline and methods, while on the right you can see the amended timeline and conducted. As demonstrated, all data collection methods went from in-person to virtual. Online questionnaires were used in phase 1 and 2 to provide an overviews of both the information-seeking processes of dance researchers and the practice of dance archive professionals. The online questionnaire in phase 1 aimed to investigate 3 different areas of information-seeking behaviours: the information needs and processes, search strategies and sources, and the role of the archive within dance researchers' information-seeking process. These areas helped to preliminarily map the routes, actions, and thoughts taken by dance researchers when searching during a research project. The online questionnaire in phase 2 provided a surface-level understanding of the landscape of dance archives within the UK. It aimed to understand dance archivists and their approach to archiving, the archive and its content, and the dance archives' understanding of their users. Overall, the impact of the pandemic affected the number of participants who were able to take part not only in the online questionnaire, but within the focus group and Think Aloud study. During the pandemic, the research communities were hidden behind institutional virtual walls, while dance archivists' institutions were closed, and they remained unable to take part due to restrictions determined by their furlough status. Despite these restrictions, the online questionnaires were completed by enough participants to offer a surface-level understanding of dance researchers' information-seeking processes and the practice of archive professionals, to provide key areas to investigate further in the focus groups. With the pandemic in full swing, focus groups became virtual and were used in both phase 1 and 2 to complement the findings within the online questionnaires. The participant sample of the virtual focus groups held in phase 1 reflected a cross-section of dance researchers. It included undergraduate dance students, postgraduate, both research and taught dance students in higher education, and dance academics or scholars. This virtual focus group focused on understanding how dance researchers perceived their own information-seeking process and investigated their use of dance archives further. Some of the findings from this virtual focus group fed into the phase 2 focus group discussions for their consideration. Dance researchers' expectations of dance archives were explored with the dance archivists. Phase 2's virtual focus group brought together a range of dance archive professionals working with dance archive collections in the UK. The sample was smaller than anticipated. However, the focus group discussions explored challenges faced by dance archivists in creating a digital future, bringing into focus their background and training, their institutional restrictions, and gave special focus on understanding the dance archive users. Both focus groups provided the project with a context to give the project with context to answers given in the online questionnaire, and offered an understanding of both dance archivists' view on dance researchers and dance researchers' views on dance archives. Both focus groups were also posed the same question at the end of their discussion. What does the future of dance archive look like to you? As you can imagine, this brought about very different visualizations and discussions with dance archivists, focusing on funding and resources, while dance researchers focused on access and technological advancements. The Think Aloud observation was conducted within the research project to contextualise the focus group discussions from dance researchers to understand if their actions were in line with how they perceived or described their own information behaviours. Think Aloud observations are typically used within usability studies to understand how users engage with specific systems or softwares. That's the reason for choice in this study. Similarly, the Think Aloud observations went virtual due to the pandemic restrictions, and currently it's one of the few Think Aloud observations to be conducted virtually. During the observation, dance researchers were asked to carry out their everyday practice, whether that was completing an assignment or conducting some field research. The observations were completed over Zoom and were audio and visually recorded. A critique of Think Aloud studies in the past is that participants know that they're being watched, so they tend to carry out certain behaviours to please the observer. However, Zoom helped negate this, as the observer turned off their camera and seemingly appeared invisible. The method of observation came with new flaws being online. Several aspects could have been improved. For instance, keyboard shortcuts could not be viewed in some cases, and the participants chose to take handwritten notes, both of which were not visible within the recordings. The process of conducting a Think Aloud study virtually is one method that certainly needs further exploration, but it is a method of capture which was helpful to understanding the information processes of dance researchers here. Overall, the study took a holistic approach to studying dance researchers and archivists' processes and practices to find a way forward for developing online dance archive resources. While the online questionnaires helped to provide that surface level of understanding of participants' processes and practices, they worked in tandem with the focus group and the Think Aloud observation to consolidate conclusions and enable generalisations to be made regarding the information processes of dance researchers and the practice of dance archive professionals. Currently, the research is in the final stages and is being prepared for submission. The analysis of the data has provided me with hope that digital transition for dance archive resources can be found. I hope to share the findings in the coming year with you in this working group, and I hope that my research encourages both dance archive sector and dance researchers, as well as wider communities, to come together to work towards the transition into the digital future. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to welcoming questions you may have later in the session.